What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be checking out what is going on behind the audio rack. I've got a lot of questions about what kind of cable management do I use or what kind of cables do I use. So I figured we'll just take a little peek in the back and see what's up. All right, so we're going to start off at the top. So the very tippity top of the rack, we've got my network switcher. This is from NETGEAR. I don't know the exact model number, but everything plugs into this. I use a LYNKSYS VELOP, which is right there. That plugs, my modem plugs into that, then that plugs into the switcher. Then everything, like the Blu-ray player, processor, and everything like that, goes out of it, and then downwards to the rest of the rack. I use these lacing bars right here and a lot of Velcro strips. So this actually, you take your cables and you put them into the lacing bars, which helps to relieve stress off of the outputs on the devices themselves. And you take your cables and you kind of lace them. You zip tie them, or you don't have to zip tie them or Velcro them to the bar itself. So that keeps everything kind of like out of the way from dangling down. These are, I got a bunch of these installed in the rack. And I've tried to keep like the audio cables and the power cables separate, but just the way that everything's kind of set up, kind of hard to do, but I did try to do the best that I could. But the very top is my network switch. And then below that, I have, it's a Middle Atlantic power strip. This basically just I have an Apple TV here. That's the Apple TV back there. And then I have my Hue hub, which is the little white box over there. That stuff is plugged into there. Also my LYNKSYS is also plugged in there as well. And I try to coil up all the cables just so it'd be a little bit more tidy up here, just so you know, you don't want a bunch of cables dangling. And below that we have the HTPC, which is my home theater PC. This is basically a i5. Actually, I just took like a desktop. I took my Lenovo desktop and I put it in a HTPC case. And I think it's running an i5 with an NVIDIA like 950, I believe. I used to use that with Kodi, but I haven't used it in a while though. But the only thing I really have hooked up to that is just my LAN cable, HDMI cable, which is right there. I don't have anything hooked up to it right now because it would be getting in the way of the shot. And power cable. Again, I've got all the cables running through another lacing bar here. All the cables, power cables, LAN cables, held again with a Velcro. And if you want to keep kind of all your cables looking nice and tidy, I do recommend picking up this. It's kind of like a Teflon sleeve, which you can open it up and you run your cables in it, and it keeps all the cables nice and neat, so everything isn't dangling. So definitely recommend you pick that up if you're going to do some kind of cable management. Again, I'm not a professional installer, so this might not be the best way to do it, but it does keep everything looking nice and neat back here. So underneath the home theater PC, I've got my Blu-ray player, which is the Panasonic UB9000. Again, same thing. I try to use the lacing bars to separate the cables out. Velcro. So LAN, video cable, and then power cable. They're kind of separated out. Like they're not touching or anything like that. So they are separated out. Below that, we've got the ZAPPITI. Again, I kind of push this lacing bar in a little bit closer to it, so I can keep like the power and the HDMI out separate from each other, from really touching each other. Cables, I mean, if you guys are regular on the channel, then you know that a lot of my cables are AUDIOQUEST cables. Like for instance, the ZAPPITI player, I think I've got a chocolate cable on the ZAPPITI player, and on the Blu-ray player, also I think I have a chocolate cable on the Blu-ray player as well. And then actually I forgot to mention, but we got a Kaleidescape back there. So the Kaleidescape is back here. This is the power. It's got a power brick, and I've had to coil up the cable because it's or else it would just be dangling. This is that's the Kaleidescape. This is the HDMI cable that's coming from it. This is a AUDIOQUEST carbon cable. Kind of expensive, I know, but I think a lot of my cables are AUDIOQUEST cables. If you're someone that gets upset about cables, then you're probably going to be very upset with this video. Below my ZAPPITI player, I've got, this is my processor. If you guys know what processor it is, shout out, let me know. Right now, we've got, this is all AUDIOQUEST XLRs. They're mostly McKenzie's. I got some McKenzie's. Most of these brown ones are McKenzie's. This blue one is a AUDIOQUEST water cable, which has the battery pack, which is right there. My left and rights are the YUKONs. So it's like water, YUKON, and then McKenzie. And they are all labeled. I don't know if you can see that or not, but if you are going to organize your cables, I highly recommend you label every single one of these. So if you are switching out quite often, listen, makes reconnecting everything a whole lot easier. And I use a DYNAMO label maker to label all my cables. I'll leave a link down in the description if you guys want to pick up any of these little accessories, but not too much money. I think it was like $30 to do it. So that's what I got right now. I don't have the subwoofers hooked up because the subwoofers would be in these 4 spots here, and then but there was too much tension coming from my wall, so I did not plug in the subs for that reason. And you can see here I've taken all the XLRs and I've kind of just put them on the lacing bar here, and I've put them all within that Teflon sleeve so it keeps everything nice and neat. And if we follow these sleeves all the way to the bottom here, they actually lead down to the amplifiers, to the amplifier inputs. This is the McIntosh MC255 5-channel amplifier. This is powering the height channels. These actual cables are a little short. I would like to be able to keep them out of the way. Like, I feel like this is in the way still, but right now, you know, I feel like I need a little bit longer. Again, I've got them all labeled up so you know exactly where they are, plus the amps are kind of labeled as well, so that helps. And then you can see here I got my speaker cables. I made these speaker cables myself. These are SEWELL interconnects, labeled. This is right front height. These are SEWELL interconnects. They're pretty cheap, very affordable. I picked them up on Amazon, and then I picked up these cable pants just to give it a nicer look. And then the cables themselves, these are in-wall AUDIOQUEST cables, of course. And like I said, these are also in the lacing bar as well. So I try to keep everything nice and tidy there. And then below that, I've got the 7-channel amp. This powers the lower 7 channels. Again, everything is nice and labeled, so I know exactly what is what. And all interconnects right there on the bottom, all the interconnects labeled as well. AUDIOQUEST. They're all zip tied to the lacing bars to keep everything out of the way, nice and neat. And everything is plugged into, right above both amps, everything is plugged into the AUDIOQUEST NIAGARA 3000. All the power cables are AUDIOQUEST, of course. They are, what are they? I think they're like the NRG 2 or 3 or something like that. But those are plugged in back there. Then the main power plug is this guy here, which is this gigantic thing, which is huge thing that goes all the way, wraps around out to the wall. Try to keep everything as organized as possible so there just wasn't a bunch of wires just hanging out. I do think that Velcro strips are like the best way to keep all the cables kind of out of the way and affixed to the rack itself. Even if you're not using a rack, then I would say definitely get some Velcro strips. And then of course the little Teflon wrapping I think is very important to keep all that stuff in check, or else you're just going to have a bunch of different wires just dangling everywhere. You'll just have a rat's nest of stuff there. And I think that this is just an invaluable little accessory to have for wire management. So this was just a quick video on the cables that I use for cable management. What do you guys use for cable management? Do you guys use zip ties? Do you guys use Velcro? Do you guys have an audio rack? Do you guys just let your wires hang? What is your method of wire management? Leave a comment down below and let us know. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you again in the next video.